Hi friends, this is Rahul. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to tell you about why Bangalore Airport should be your one-stop destination for getting the RT-PCR test done when you're in the city. Along with the types of RT-PCR tests available, I will also talk about the costs involved, how much time does it take for the reports to get generated, and more such useful information which will help you out in case you are planning a travel. Let's go. So recently I completed my trip between India and Europe. And since I was going to fly to Germany, my RT-PCR test report should be within 48 hours of arrival in Germany. The flights I booked had not one, but two stopovers. So including the layover, the total flight time or the total travel time itself was close to 23 hours. Based on these timings, I knew it right from the beginning that my RT-PCR test report, etc. would be really touch and go. But what I didn't know is that most of these ICMR approved facilities, private labs, private hospitals, clinics, etc., they take anywhere between 24 hours to even up to 48 hours to generate a test report. If I went with those, even if I had a negative RT-PCR test report, it would be useless by the time I reached Germany because it would not meet the within 48 hour criteria, right? So I knew from the beginning that this would not work, right? So what other option do I have? I found out that there are some private hospitals scattered throughout the city which promise that the RT-PCR test report will be generated within 12 hours. But later I also found that there's a challenge to it. First, that there's only a limited number of tests available for every day. For example, 50 tests, 75 tests, or 100 tests. That's it. And then they'll close down. And second, that people start, because it's limited in number, people start queuing up for these tests way too much in advance, 2-3 hours in advance. For example, the one hospital where I tried this, the tests were supposed to start 7 in the morning. I thought, okay, I'll go a little bit earlier. I went 6:30 and I saw a big crowd of people. I was like, okay, maybe there are people for different reasons. And I asked the security there, may I know where is the RT-PCR test being done? He said, yeah, this is it, just stand here. And I was like, wow, this is a lot of people, right? So I went to the first guy in the queue and I said, excuse me, you are the first guy in the queue. May I know when did you come here for the test? And this guy is like, oh, I came here at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. So that was already 3 hours much too advance, right? I knew, looking at the number of people who were already there before me, there was no way I was going to be in the first 50 or even the first 100 for that day. So I decided to leave and explore my options with other private clinics, private hospitals, some labs, but with no success. Most of them also said the same thing, that they would not be able to generate the report within 48 hours. Eventually, after having explored all these options, I thought maybe there's no other way and I have to go to the airport, which, by the way, was my last resort because it's almost 1.5 hours away from where I stay. But I thought, okay, eventually this is what I need to do. But now, after having done it, after having been through this experience of going to the airport and getting the RT-PCR test report from there, I think no one should waste any time exploring any other options, and you should straight away head to the airport if you need your RT-PCR test done for domestic or international travel. Basically, there are two types of tests available. First one is a normal RT-PCR test. It takes 12 to 24 hours for the report to be generated and it costs 800 rupees. The second one is called the rapid RT-PCR test. This is 4 times more expensive. So this costs around 3,200 rupees and the report comes within 15 minutes to 2 hours. That's right. 15 minutes to 2 hours is you have the report. Everything is done at the small testing center which is located at the departure gate. Don't worry. The big queue you see here is the people who are actually going for departure. They're not here for the RT-PCR test. The queue for the RT-PCR is different and there's hardly ever any rush. Probably you'll just have maybe 1 or 2 people before you and that's about it. At the test center, they'll ask you to fill out a form with some basic details like your name, phone number, email address, etc. After the form is filled out, there'll be a OTP verification followed by the swab collection. In total, the swab collection, the OTP generation, the SRF ID generation, all together it takes close to 15 minutes, that's all. Depending on how loaded the lab is on a particular day, depending on, of course, how many people have been tested that day, you should expect the upper limit of the time bracket as a more realistic option. What I mean is, if it says that the rapid RT-PCR test report will be generated within 15 minutes to 2 hours, you should think that 2 hours is the time it's going to take, and accordingly you must plan. It is true that the report can actually come in 20 minutes, but to be on the safe side, you should plan your travel to the airport thinking that it's going to take the upper limit, that is in this case 2 hours. I had my reasons and I opted for a rapid RT-PCR test. First reason being that I'm so far away from the airport, almost 1.5 hours, that it just made more sense to reach the airport maybe 5 hours in advance before the flight took off, get the RT-PCR thing sorted, and then go for the check-in. Over, for example, visiting 2 times the airport just to get a normal RT-PCR test. And the second reason, for my mental peace. Getting a report just few hours before the flight departure ensured that my RT-PCR test report would be valid, and it would comply with the 48-hour requirement as per the German government. Having said that, if you are someone who stays not so far away from the airport and it is not so difficult for you to reach the airport, or it's not so time consuming, I think you should just opt for a normal RT-PCR test. Again, on any given particular day, the report might even come in 6 hours. But to be on the safe side and to avoid any unnecessary last-minute panic, assume that your report's going to take between 18 hours to 24 hours and plan your travel accordingly to be in time at the airport. For payments, cash, card, wallet, etc. all are accepted. So you can choose whatever you prefer. Remember, once the report is generated, it's now mandatory for the report to have a QR code. This is the new rule as issued by the Government of India. So when you get the report, definitely scan the QR code and see that the report details which are being reflected are correct. That means your name is correct, the spelling is alright, the passport number or even the Aadhaar card number, whatever is written there, that is correct. There's no error with the input. Another thing, the report generation time, the date, the sample collection date and time, they all should be correct, because at the moment they are definitely checking this at the time of boarding. So you must scan it in advance, and if there are any discrepancies, you can actually clarify it and get the report corrected in advance and save the last minute panic at the time of boarding. Another thing, that due to the ongoing lockdown, there are several checkpoints across the city and the police will ask you. They asked me, what are you doing outside? Why are you not at home? And stuff like that. And of course, each time I would show the ticket. I think there were some 7 checkpoints between my place and before I reached the airport. At each checkpoint, I showed them the ticket and I said I'm going for the RT-PCR test. And they did not create any problem whatsoever. So in case you're going for a normal RT-PCR test or even a rapid test, just show your ticket and say that you're going for the flight, and I think you'll be fine. By the way, when I was traveling from Europe to India, I made a video about the whole travel experience, also explaining about the rules, regulations, the documents required, etc. If you're interested, the link is on screen and also in the description. And now, having done this travel from India back to Europe, I will also make a similar video, so you'd know what to expect if you're planning a similar travel. This was a quick video, but I hope this will help you out. Give it a like and please share it on WhatsApp or on Facebook with others who you think might need this kind of information. And for more such informative content, please subscribe to my channel. I created RomerRealm because I believe in creating videos that help you travel worldwide within your budget and without compromising on safety. And besides helping you travel more for less, I also want you to know about my life at sea working on mega container ships as a merchant marine engineer. That's all for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Keep exploring. This is Rahul for RomerRealm, and I'll see you in the next one.